Hello, everybody. Thanks very much indeed for joining us for free practice 2 here at the Nürburgring as we get set for the 6th weekend of the 2026 Championship. Rounds 11 and 12 of the season coming up tomorrow and on Sunday. And one more chance for the teams, for the drivers to get set and make sure they've got a car and a setup and the tyres working, A, in perfect unison ready for qualifying tomorrow morning, and B, in terms of the longer duration, the longer runs, set up for, of course, the 2 races that we've got to come over the course of the weekend. It is super hot here, as you can see from the graphic on screen. We are pushing up towards the high 30s now. It's hugely hot here today. It's the hottest day of the week and of the weekend. And speaking to one or two people around the paddock as well, they were saying this is actually the hottest part of Germany this weekend. There's a chance that it's going to get so hot that we might get some rain possibly tomorrow, possibly on Sunday, but it's all a bit up in the air and you can never quite tell what's going to happen here at the Nürburgring. If we do get any, it's not going to be much, I don't think. Famous last words. This is going to be a 45-minute free practice session, so 10 minutes shorter than the one we had this morning. And the one we had this morning, or early in the afternoon, was with Matteo Cairoli as the quickest driver out there, the Italian who's won 2 races already in his first season of DTM. Set a time of 1 minute 26.144 seconds. We had the top 10 who all went quicker than the fastest free practice 1 time from last year, which was set by a Ferrari 296, a number 14 car, and a car which ended up winning over the course of the weekend at the hands of Jack Aitken last year. So Ferrari's looking strong here. It's the team, Emil Fry, saying to me, yeah, it's not a bad track. They weren't overly sort of confident when I spoke to them. I said, this is a pretty good track for you, isn't it, on the calendar? And they said, yeah, it's not our absolute best, but we do go quite well here. And we'd absolutely love to follow up the 1-3 finish we got on the Saturday here last year with Jack Aitken and Thierry Vermeulen. So good start to the weekend for Cairoli with a 126.144. He was 53 thousandths of a second quicker than Lucas Auer, who in the Mercedes put his quickest time of the session in fairly late on. He was one of the many drivers that had a bit of an excursion during the course of the session. He was the first one to wheel on the grass, the right rear, dipped onto the dusty, dry grass when he hit the brake on the round towards the Vidal chicane early on in the session. Of course, we had Thierry Vermeulen had a run off the circuit, offs for the Grasser Racing Lamborghinis, a couple of offs, nothing major, but running wide and over the curbs and onto the grass for Christian Engelhardt. There was one for Mirko Bortolotti. All sorts of drivers struggling with the grip as it not to do with the heat, because there's plenty of heat out there, but the fact that the track was still fairly green. Willie Fritz was saying to me at HRT, he said it'll get quicker and grippier, but I hadn't had too many sessions before DTM went out, and it certainly seemed less of an issue as the session went on, and that was where Lucas Auer and Matteo Cairoli and Marco Mapelli, who was third in that 5 minutes or so of the session. Summer race of the weekend at Oschersleben a couple of weeks ago. He was 4th quickest. His teammate Kelvin van der Linde, who's been a double winner here in DTM, but in an Audi. He was 5th in the sister BMW for Schubert. And then Luca Engstler, despite issues with the power steering, was 6th quickest. I had a good long chat with Thomas Biermeier, the team boss, the principal at Abboton. He said, yeah, it's something we've had a few issues with, the power steering on that car this weekend. So it's something we have got to change. So we're looking at changing it. He said it was still an issue towards the end of the session, even though Luca Engstler got his better lap times in that last 5 or 6 minutes of the session. So Engstler was 6th, Arjamani, Maro Engel, Jules Gounon and Mirko Bortolotti, the other drivers in the top 10. Niki Tim, 2nd in the championship, was just outside that top 10. Finishing that session in 11th place. Right, we're 30 seconds away then from free practice 2, 45 minutes of action here at the Nürburgring. I'm Chris Hartley. Thanks very much for joining us here on Friday afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, wherever you're listening to us, there should be plenty of action in this one. And to help talk us through it alongside me in the box here, overlooking the pit lane and overlooking the start-finish straight, is Brian Oliver.
Hello, Chris. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. The last opportunity to refine that setup before the next session, which will be tomorrow morning, which will be qualifying. Plumes of smoke in the pit lane. It'll be qualifying for race 11 of the season. Of course, the races 11 and 12 this weekend. And you can see, I think it was that Bastian Boos lighting the tyres up.
Absolute hooligan.
Absolute hooligan. He's not just, or whoever it was, I think it was Bastian, whoever it is, they're not just having a bit of a laugh and doing burnouts. They are actually laying rubber in the pit box, and it means that when they come in for their pit stops during the races tomorrow and Sunday, it actually gives them a little bit more grip in the pit box as well if they can lay some rubber down. Very dramatic, looks good as well. As I was going to say before all of that, last chance to refine the setup before quali tomorrow morning. But of course, I know we always talk about the weather and the temperatures. There's every chance that tomorrow morning the conditions will be cooler. There's every chance there may have been some rain. So getting that set up, but trying to make it as kind of adjustable as possible for whatever conditions may be coming our way. But we expect to see some quali runs maybe towards the end of this free practice session. See drivers doing quali simulations at the moment, out on track and generating the heat in the tyres and the brakes.
Yeah, I'm told it's not bad on the tyres. Circumstances, it's going to be hot for the tyres, but the surface is fairly smooth here. Emil Fry were telling me, so it's not too bad on the tyres at this track, but it is going to be more of an issue with these high track temperatures that we got a higher issue, a higher attrition rate than we are used to. And this tyre that we have this year, a new compound from Pirelli, specifically for the championship, is slightly softer as well than the tyres we've had previously, which, even though the track was dusty this morning, contributed to the quicker lap times, 4/10 quicker than the fastest lap time of 12 months ago.
Thanks to the mechanics for the hard work. Thank you, boys.
Well, that's a nice touch. That's Luca Engsler, one of the nicest blokes in the paddock, saying thanks to the guys for getting the car ready. So yeah, it's just following on from what I said. Thomas Biermeier saying, yeah, we didn't solve the issue with the power steering, so they've had to change that completely between the two sessions at Abt, and have done a great job and got the car out there for Luca Engsler, who's been one of the real stars this year in that new Lamborghini Temerario in terms of his qualifying, getting at the front, getting podium finish as well, and doing a decent job. 12th place in the championship, 2nd and 4th in the two races last time out at Oschersleben. With the Red Bull AMP team, of course, it's only their 2nd year ever in quarter of a century racing in the championship, running anything but an Audi in DTM, and they also are having run the Lamborghini Huracan last year, new to running the Temerario. But Thomas Biermeier saying to me, yeah, it's a learning kit. We're learning a lot about the car all the time. He said, so pretty happy with the direction it's going, and he was pretty relaxed actually. He's got his family here this weekend, his kids here this weekend in the Nürburgring, and yeah, it was all very positive down at Red Bull Abt, which was good to see. I'll tell you what though, Brian, one of the most positive things that I saw when I was wandering around the pit lane of the paddock in between the two sessions, I didn't know he was here until I saw him. Max Powell is here this weekend, which is fantastic, and looking really well actually. I had a chat with him, and as you can imagine, he was mobbed by people with well wishes, and great and happy to see him back after his injuries, and he looked really good actually. I said to him, you look better than me, Max, what's going on?
Yeah, I saw him from a distance on a scooter, and he was riding along, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But great to see him back, and we said it in the first free practice session, but there's even a possibility, did he mention whether he might be at Sachsenring or not? Because in terms of miraculous recoveries, well, he's at the top of the list, because we thought he was going to be out till next year.
Yeah.
He's targeting going to be back at Sachsenring, isn't he?
It's a possibility. I said before the end of the year. He said, yeah, you will definitely see me before the end of the year. So I think, he said, that's the plan at least. He said, but the key thing is, any point you look down at his legs, is everything's back where it should be now in terms of all my bones and ligaments. And but it was great. He looked really well actually, and actually fairly mobile. As you can imagine, I said, I bet you've been doing rehab and at the gym every day. He said, yeah, every single day down the gym, rehab, determined to get back. And again, he's a great guy, isn't he, Max? A real hard worker, a real grafter is Max Powell. I mean, you know, he's not been gifted any of this, has he, this place in DTM? He had to do it the hard way, running his own team. He's doing all the jobs, driving the truck, getting the cars prepped when Powell Motorsport were here. And it's just fantastic to see him back. He's got a very useful stand-in for this weekend at least, though. Christian Engelhardt there in the number 19 Grasser racing machine. And this, Brian, is not the car that was involved in that big shunt at the Nürburgring. It's brand new chassis, isn't it?
Yes. Couldn't get the parts in time for Oschersleben. Of course, the brand new car, still very much coming off the production line, but it's a brand new chassis. And it's really nice to have Christian Engelhardt back on the grid, albeit in unfortunate circumstances, but really happy to have Christian back. First time in a couple of years, a very established racer. I'm still getting used to him not driving a Porsche, if I'm honest, because as for all of my racing time, I've always associated him with that, but always looking very useful. And I think it's good having a different set of eyes on the Temerario as well, just a different driver with a different approach. Certainly, they brought in Marco Mappelli, who's very much a development driver, and so Marco Mappelli for Red Bull Team out, very much with the mind of developing it, along with Max Powell, Mirko Bortolotti. But Christian Engelhardt, who's just gone purple in Sector 1, can I point out, he will bring another fresh approach with all of his wisdom and experience of many years.
And 2 sets of data is better than one, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Try something on that car, get some feedback from a different driver, as you say. It's all going to help the TGI by GRT team, Gottfried Grasser's team, Gottfried and Elizabeth Grasser, who run the team. Thierry Vermeulen quickest at the moment, early doors. It's only 1:27.102. Thomas Preining second, Matteo Cairoli third. Ricardo Feller was quickest. He's now fourth. Christian Engelhardt might be about to get in the mix somewhere as he comes across the line. He goes fastest, in fact. First one into the 126s. And again, you know, new. He hasn't been in the DTM since Zandvoort in 2023. He has not ever driven the Temerario, so you know, very useful peddler. He'll get up to speed pretty quickly, but it is going to be difficult work for him. Vermeulen with a 1:27.050 goes quicker than he has before. Second quickest, Matteo Cairoli might be about to go to the top of the times and does. 1:26.394. That's only a couple of tenths off what we saw earlier on. Now, if you were not watching free practice 1 this morning, where on earth were you? What were you doing? Working or something? It's Friday afternoon. But no, if you were not watching, and we talked about this, just to reiterate what happened last night, and if you haven't read about this, the results from Oschersleben changed, and it was only announced late afternoon yesterday, in that Mirko Bortolotti has provisionally been disqualified from the very famous race victory he got at Oschersleben, the first for the Temerario, his first since the Red Bull Ring in the penultimate weekend of 2024, his championship winning season. And it was due to the fact that the wheel bearings used on the car were not homologated parts. However, Gottfried Grasser and the team are appealing that decision at the moment, because they argue that they looked at the rules and they think that the wheel bearings are not a part that have to be homologated. So that is up in the air at the moment. The provisional result, though, is that Mirko Bortolotti is disqualified. It promotes Maro Engel, who was second on the road, to the race victory. It promotes Thomas Preining, who'd won on Saturday, finished third on Sunday. Could really have won, couldn't he, on Sunday, but the problem with the pit stop and the wheel gun. So he's promoted up to second place in the race. And Marco Wittmann, who, despite being really ill, had a great drive to fourth place in the BMW, gets promoted up to third place. And those 3 drivers will now carry the success ballast in race 1 tomorrow. And rather than 10 kilograms of ballast, Maro Engel will have 20. Rather than 5, Thomas Preining will have 10. And rather than none, Marco Wittmann will have 5 kilograms of success ballast. But Mirko Bortolotti, because it's under appeal, will also be made to carry 20 kilograms of success ballast. So that is currently all up in the air. It's under appeal. The appeal, I don't think, will be heard until some point before the Sachsenring weekend. So all the points are provisional at the moment, but it does mean, for now, Maro Engel 25 points clear of Nicky Tim, 26 points clear of Lucas Auer, who's third in the championship, 29 clear of Thomas Preining, who's fourth.
And while we've been doing all that, Arjun Maini goes to the top. 1:26.267 for HRT, who are based just across the road from the Nürburgring here. And he, along with his teammate Finn Wiebelhaus, another duo who are going to have problems tomorrow. Drive-through penalties awarded to both of them. Feels a bit harsh, but it's going to be a tough Saturday for them, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. So I've got to the bottom of this, because this was announced even later yesterday. It was in the evening that we found out that both of the HRT Ford Mustang drivers, Arjun Maini, Finn Wiebelhaus, in the race tomorrow are going to have drive-through penalties, which will cost them 20-odd seconds in the race. Which, they'll be lucky to get a decent result out of that. They'll need a safety car or something to get them back in the mix. As Finn Wiebelhaus goes fourth, they are quick, those two. They were quick in free practice 1, both in the top 7. The Fords in free practice 1. So It was all we got. We didn't get any detail really. All we got last night was on the virtual notice board a message saying that they have got this penalty, and it's for an unsanctioned test using Pirelli tyres, essentially. So I went to speak to Arjumani, and then I spoke to the team boss, Uli Fritz, and said, what's happened then? Can you explain what's happened here? And they both told me that it's nothing to do with either driver. So Arjumani wasn't doing a test he shouldn't have been doing. Van Wiebelhuis wasn't. It wasn't even a DTM car. It was one of their ADAC GT Masters cars. And it wasn't on the DTM tyre. It was on Pirelli tyres, but they weren't using a DTM tyre. It was here at the Nürburgring, but it wasn't on this version of the circuit. It was on the long version of the circuit, the full Grand Prix circuit. And the team have been penalised because, by the way, it's Frank Stippler that was doing the driving. So somebody's ever raced recently in the DTM, is he? So Frank Stippler was just doing some development driving for him. So it's not a current driver that was behind the wheel. They had an issue with the car, and they were, Uli Fritz said, just trying to get to the bottom of the issue. But it hadn't been sanctioned, and it's a very, very strong penalty. This, neither Brian nor I can remember any team being given, certainly in recent years, a drive-through penalty for something other than something that happened in the race. But it's a very, very strong penalty. You can imagine they are not best pleased about it. But it's interesting, isn't it, Brian, that it wasn't to do with either of the drivers. It wasn't their car. It wasn't on the DTM tyre. It wasn't at this version of the circuit. Arjumani said to me, we've already done our test at the Nürburgring. Why would we want to go and do it again?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievably harsh. I guess the rules are rules and things are laid down, but it's that problem there for Marco Mappelli. So is that in the pit lane? I think it is, isn't it?
It's just, just on the pit lane entrance.
I think this could bring out a red flag in this session if he's there as somebody in the background. One of the McLarens kicking up a bit of dirt. But yeah, if that doesn't move, I think we might get a red flag in this session because, of course, that cannot stay there with cars potentially coming into the pits. So problems there for the number 10 car. Let's hear some team radio, see if we can find out what's happening.
Please repeat. Stuck in 6th gear, you said?
Stuck in neutral.
Neutral. Yeah.
Box full
no
of
gear.
neutrals, right. So he's not going to move it. Ooh, Kelvin van der Linde has to
squeeze past.
I mean, you do get plenty of warning there. He's far enough at the pit lane, isn't he? They don't just turn into it and find a stationary Lamborghini. They'll have yellow flags waved as well. They'll have been told on the team radio, be careful coming into the pit lane, but you do actually get a bit of a run up, a bit of a view at that.
Problem is they can't get any marshals there to push it, so I don't know how they're going to move that without. Can you have a full course yellow in the pit lane?
We could just to control the speed, couldn't they? Put a full course yellow out for the session, keep the cars out on track. The clock will continue to tick down. There's Arjumani going past the stationary Marco Mappelli car, quickest at the moment for the Indian driver with a 126.233.
Full course yellow coming out. So pleased that we're not going to have a red flag, certainly not for the moment. So they will get that car moved then, and we can see the recovery there. Probably get a tow rope on it and pull it in. Fortunately, not too far for it to go. So I would expect the pit entrance, well, it's going to be blocked while they're doing this, so hopefully no other car's going to try and squeeze in. So everybody reduces their speed, and hopefully we can get that moved fairly quickly.
Somebody else I had a chat with after free practice one was Ben Durr, who since his maiden victory in the championship hasn't scored too many points and a bit of a bad run actually, of a bad fortune, and has just picked up the odd point here and there in the last couple of race weekends, and it didn't look great this morning. You never know what they're doing with the setups, and whether they're just trying a longer run pace and they're not worried about putting in quick lap times in free practice one. But Ben Durr was only 18th. His teammate Timo Glock in the other Durr Motorsport McLaren was one place behind him in 19th place. And I caught up with Ben, and he said, I said, were you trying? He's like, yeah, we were trying. That's the problem. He said, we just weren't quick. And I said, well, where? Was it specifically? How did the car feel? He said, that's the problem. He said, actually, in the car, it felt quick. It felt good. He said, and that's the worst possible scenario. If you can identify, the car is moving around here, or it's understeering, or the back end doesn't work here, he said, you can kind of nail the problem a bit quicker. But when it feels good, but it's still not quick, he said, we just don't know what the issue is. So McLaren's struggling a bit here so far this weekend.
Yeah, I've heard this several times from drivers. This is the most depressing feeling, is when you do a lap, you think that was mega quick, it was a perfect lap, it was good, and then you look and you're at the back of the pack because the pace just isn't there. And it may well be there'll be a tweak to the BOP that will help them overnight or something like that. But yeah, as you say, if there's a problem where it's understeering, oversteering, whatever, then you've got something to work with. But when the car is handling beautifully and you're still there, that is very frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, so going to be a lot of pouring over data, I'd imagine, at Motorsport. We're back up to speed, just under 30 minutes of the session still remaining here. Last year at the Nürburgring, for a reminder, Jack Aitken in the Emile Frey Racing Ferrari was the winner on Saturday. Also on the podium was Ben Green in the Emile Frey Ferrari with a second place finish, and Ricardo Feller in the Audi, the Land Audi, got a podium as well. The first of 3 podiums he managed to get with the old GT Masters winning championship car, because he got that famous win at the Red Bull Ring as well. So they were the top 3 in race 1. And then on Sunday here at the Nürburgring, we had René Rast picking up what was his second win of the season. We had his teammate Marco Wittmann making it a 1-2 for Schubert and for BMW, and Luki Auer, who ended up as the runner-up in the championship, was the driver that finished third. Mercedes only 1 win here in the GT3 era, as we get on board Thomas Preining going way out wide.
I think he was letting through Ricardo Feller, but that was a very wide run through the corner. There goes Feller through on the inside. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he wouldn't have. Well, if there'd have been a fair amount of debris and marbles and general nonsense out there, they would have picked up on his tyres. So I don't suppose he intended to go quite that wide. Yeah, he carries on, no harm done, with 28.25 minutes remaining.
Yeah, that was through that AMG Arena on that run through the left at turn 2 and 3. Such a great bit of track for that. When we get to racing tomorrow, it's brilliant, isn't it? That run into turn 1. From here, the cars at full chat, top gear. They all will reach about 250 kilometres an hour, which is over 150 miles an hour. They'll go from top gear down to just first gear, stand on the brakes through this hairpin at just 70 kilometres an hour. But then it's a slight incline. Brian was saying this when he ran around the track yesterday. So it's not as flat as it looks, this circuit, from the TV pictures. Still that incline. And then if you go down the inside of somebody into turn 1, and we see this all the time in the races, the guy on the outside can stay on the outside. They run side by side, often through the left-hander at turn 2, where they get up to about 115 kilometres an hour in second gear. And then they're going to be side by side again into turn 3, which is the next sort of braking zone, where they go from 170 down to 75 miles an hour. And you get all these different racing lines that you can use for that opening sequence of corners.
And it creates some really good opportunities. Yeah, just what you were saying there about the gradient. You look at this track and you think, oh, Nürburgring, that's fairly flat. Well, here, where Marco Wittmann is, that's a proper downhill section. Then uphill slightly towards that turn 2. But it's at a turn 7. You go to turn 8, which is taken flat, but it's fairly downhill from 7. And I was running in a very stupid moment last night around the track, as you mentioned, up towards the chicane, turn 9. I was properly out of breath heading up towards that chicane. I mean, it's a really steep uphill there.
It's long and gradual, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I'm like, blimey, I managed to get Beau Rouge quicker than this.
Yeah, much longer, steeper climb than you imagine. Which is why it is absolutely key to get that good run out of turn 7. So when they come out of the Bilstein curve, they'll be doing third gear about 125 kilometres an hour. They won't even think about touching the brakes again until they get to the top of that hill. So it's flat out through the Falkenbogen, and then braking on the way into this chicane, the Vidal chicane, where they will descend to second gear, 85 kilometres an hour, and absolutely thump the curves. I actually asked Ben Durr, what's your favourite bit of the circuit then? He said, I think it's the chicane, because you have to throw it in. You have to attack the curbs to be quick around a lap.
You want to see attacking curbs, you want to watch Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. Just watching them in quali, it was like wall of death up on 2 wheels as Kelvin van der Linde goes quickest to 125.857. So there's some legs there in the BMW, isn't there? Yes, in the Porsches earlier on today, they were rattling over those curbs. I'm like, how hard do you want to test the suspension on one of these cars. Real test there, but very exciting to watch. I think if I was going to watch this from the outside of the circuit, I'll probably go and stand somewhere near the chicane because it's very dramatic there.
Yeah, I was watching a bit from the grandstand, the GT4 session. Same for them. But you overdo it on those curbs and it spits the back end out, doesn't it, on the way out of that second part of the right-hander, and you lose all your traction. It's still uphill on the way out of the corner, and it kills your speed into that final turn, turn 11.
And you can also damage the car. We saw it in the GT4s at Oschersleben, where they were attacking the curbs so hard on that chicane, and one of the BMWs broke the suspension. And I think that was over the chicane, just attacking it too hard. Well, another BMW here in the hands of Kelvin van der Linde, gone purple again in Sector 1. So Kelvin, the first to show some really good pace, although he looks like he's backed off a bit in the middle sector. But Kelvin, he could do with a bit of good luck, really, couldn't he? And no one would begrudge him that as he comes out of turn 11. So it was a 125.857, the first into the 25, nearly 4 tenths quicker than Arjun Maini. So that's what it was last time around. Marco Wittmann makes it a BMW 1-2. Kelvin van der Linde out across the line, 125.834. So that's some good pace there from Kelvin.
Yeah, they are looking strong. They look strong, didn't they? Both up there in the top 6 in free practice. One is there, 1-2 for Rast and Wittmann in the BMWs last year. So strong that first sector, which is the longest sector in terms of time. They've both been very strong there so far. It's the run from the start finish line all the way down to the exit to turn 5, the hairpin. The fastest time in free practice 2 last year, it was pretty hot by the time we got to the afternoon. It was 22 degrees for free practice 1 last year. It was 26 degrees when we got to the afternoon session. Track temperature was 27, which we thought was hot then, but it's nothing like as hot as now. It had 10 degrees to all of that, if not more actually. About 12 degrees you've got to add to that, to what we've got this afternoon currently. But the fastest time in free practice 2 was Timo Glock last year in the McLaren, 126.209 seconds, which was a couple of tenths quicker than Jack Aitken had gone in the morning. But it wasn't the 125, which is what we're into now. That 125.834 for the man you're looking at the moment, 2-time winner here at the Nürburgring in DTM, both times in the Audi. Kelvin van der Linde, quickest at the moment. Looks like they're doing a longer run as well in the Schubert cars. The Achilles heel for that team and for the BMW over the last couple of seasons has been qualifying, hasn't it? They've struggled big time in qualifying to get the cars up there, but they've always raced well, those cars. They always get better and better, it seems, as the weekend goes on.
We'd like to think that if the Achilles heel has been getting the tyres into the window, then if the temperatures are anywhere near this tomorrow morning, that they will potentially be in a stronger position. But I was looking out the window, Kelvin van der Linde has been hauled into the weighbridge, random weight check as we ride on board with his teammate Marco Wittmann, now fully recovered from that awful, whatever it was, the virus that he had that had caused him to lose a whole load of weight. He lost 5 kilos in 4 days prior to Oschersleben with a gastrointestinal illness. Sounds horrible just saying it. He had IV infusions before each race at Oschersleben. I mean, that is determination and enthusiasm. You should get points just for that, I think. As we gaze into the eyes of Ben Dur as he's focused in the number 25 car. So he's in 13th at the moment. He is about 8.5 tenths off the time by Kelvin van der Linde. So he's not a million miles off, is he? But 8.5 tenths, still quite a lot in DTM.
Yeah, it's about 8 tenths off the fastest time in free practice 1 as well. But you're absolutely right. It's the best part of a tenth on every corner around here, isn't it? And trying to gather that back, it's going to be difficult. So lots to find here. I said maybe a bit of rain might help. He said, well, not really, because the McLaren's not great in the rain either. So they wanted it to stay dry. I tell you, it does want it to rain. As we see lap time cancelled there for Ben Dur for track limits at turn 10, the penultimate corner. Matteo Carrone, he keeps saying this every time I see him. He's like, I hope it rains, I hope it rains. I love driving in the wet. I know this place like the back of my hand. I love the Nürburgring in the wet. But he was very strong in the dry this morning, that's for sure, Matteo Carrone. He needs a big weekend here. He's had, let it go pretty badly the last couple of weekends. Tough weekend at the Norris Ring, a tough weekend even though he scored points in both races last time out at Oschersleben, and suddenly he's 56 points behind the championship leader. He only scored 56 points in a weekend. Needs to start getting that gap down. But Matteo always remains level-headed, remains calm, just focused on what he was doing. But I asked him and a couple of other drivers, do you prefer the shorter version of the Nürburgring, which we use, or the full version of the Grand Prix track? And the answer from him and Bender was the longer version of the track, definitely. But actually, ideally, we'd like to be on the Nordschleife.
Yeah, you said you stole that. The longer version. Do you mean the longer version?
Really long one. Yeah.
And people do ask, well, why do we use the sprint circuit rather than the Grand Prix circuit? And for the ADAC say, well, actually, it means that you get more laps. The people in the stands see the cars more often. It's all within sight, and I'd say that's kind of quite decent theology really on that.
Yeah. When DTM used to come to Brands Hatch, they always ran on the Indy circuit, the short circuit, rather than the full Grand Prix circuit. The drivers much prefer the Grand Prix circuit. It's hugely challenging at the back section. But the argument was always, well, as a fan in the grandstands at Paddock Hill Bend, you'll see the cars more often, you'll see more laps from them. That was a pretty dizzying experience back in the Class 1 days, though, around the Indy circuit.
We went through an era where there was speculation of whether the DTM would actually run on the Nordschleife for a round. And I'm like, well, if you had paid to be in the stands, you would see, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 laps, 7, 8 times the cars go past. Yeah. So it's like, I'd rather watch it on telly, I think.
when I've covered the 24-hour race, I remember that I think it was the last time I did it, one of the sport races was World Touring Cars. And they went on the Nordschleife, and their race was on the Saturday. And I think it was 4 laps off memory. But they just get absolutely swamped. And the poor production crew the number of cameras and onboards that you need to cover a lap of the Nordschleife, as you can imagine. I mean, it's okay because they're set up for the 24-hour race, but it's. The drivers would love it. I think it's technically a bit of a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we would love it as fans because the Nordschleife is the best bit of tarmac in the world. But yes, from a production point of view, I don't know how many cameras they have for Nürburgring 24. It's a lot.
We have a lot for our DTM coverage, don't we?
Yeah,
huge amount of cameras, but it's kind of a lot it's done on the onboards, isn't it? But as a fan here at the track, I have to say, watching the World Touring Cars, it wasn't. I was sat at the grandstands in the back of the Vidal chicane.
You get to cheer.
It was a long wait before they came back around again. He saw them a couple of times. It wasn't great, I didn't think, from a personal point of view. If you're at the track, TV, it's different, isn't it? But if you're watching at the track, I totally get why you want to see them more often.
You can go and buy a pint or whatever, and you don't actually miss anything. Right, well, there's Mirko Bortolotti. Well, he's pushing hard in towards the chicane. That was that uphill bit. I told you it looks flat on TV, didn't I?
That's a bit Lucas Hour, that, wasn't it? Just caught the back right tyre onto the dust as he braked.
Yeah.
Lugia did that at the start of the free practice 1 session, and that was a bit of a twitch from Mirko. It was a proper big wild moment from Lugia this morning, wasn't it?
Yes, so that was right at the beginning of the session as well. I did speculate, I haven't actually checked up on it, whether the non-Pirelli compound that was being used by one of the support classes, aka Porsche, had an effect as well. It certainly was the case at the Lausitz ring when we had the trucks. We were sharing the bill with the trucks, and the different compounded tyre that was being laid down there was having an effect. And I wondered if that might have had an effect as well, because there has actually been a fair amount of running over the last few days with testing and free practice. So the track's not that dirty, but as you said, with the grass so dry, the dust at the side, what used to be green grass is now dust, and you see there, you just touch it slightly and it's a cloud of dust that rises up into the air, and of course that drags it out onto the track as well. You need the car in front to have one little moment into the grass, and suddenly the car behind has got a sandstorm ahead of him.
Yeah. This morning in that chat with Pavel Neodil from Emil Frey, he looks after all the, and I was asking what's it like for the tyres here? Is it difficult? And he was the one that was telling me not bad at all normally, but the heat it's going to be tough this weekend. But he also said the drivers tend to be complaining around here about the pickup that you get, like an awful lot of pickup, which is the dead bits of rubber that get thrown off the tyre through the attrition into the side of the circuit. You can see there on the lower part of the picture, all the marbles, there's little black bits of dead rubber that are on there.
And gravel.
Yeah, because it's so hot and sticky. Obviously, you drove over those, they just stick to your tyres, and then you haven't got a round tyre anymore. You've got these bits and bobbles on the tyres. And he said it doesn't normally seem to be a problem here if everybody's on Pirellis in all the other classes. But if there's somebody who's not on Pirellis, and the Porsches are on Michelin tyres, aren't they, that race here, he said then it becomes an issue for us, which is quite interesting. He said, I don't really know, he said, why it is. He said, but it's just that different compound, the different tyre manufacturer, it definitely causes some issues with the pickup that you get here.
Yeah, if you've picked up marbles from another class, then the surface very, very different. I can imagine, well, it's always great having Porsche on the bill. They're absolutely wild and such entertaining racing. But of course, at Oschersleben and the next round at Sachsenring, we don't have Porsches on the bill. So maybe that will work to the advantage of the Pirelli runners. But of course, at the Sachsenring next time out, a circuit which demolishes tyres for a living, that's going to be a whole challenge as well, because it's such an abrasive surface there.
Is that Bollard going to survive? That's one miss, near miss, two near misses. I was waiting for the inevitable. Here we go.
Oh,
here we go.
It's one of the McLarens.
No.
No. Who was next?
Is there a,
I don't think there's anyone behind, is there?
Have we got a GoPro on that?
No,
Because
well,
that's
if we
gonna
did, it's not anymore.
It's getting it's dicing with death here, this Bollard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being so close. No, it's
Oh,
just
it's survived at the moment. We've got a box full of those out the back, it's fine.
That was like a thriller, wasn't he? You're wait for the jump scare there. It didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
If that Bollard is there at the end of the weekend, I will be surprised.
Our producer, Mario, he used to put cameras in the bollards. He's decided the budget doesn't extend that far now, because the cameras often don't last very long. Oh, here we go. Thierry Vermeulen. Are we going to be sending a... That was a glance. That was a touch. There's a bit of Ferrari blue paint on that now. I want to know... It's leaning, isn't it? It's Lugi, is it? Is it going to be Lugi? No. He's very wide. I wonder how they glue these bollards in. Do they glue them in? I mean, they must do something with it. Oh, Matteo Cairoli, surely he's going... No.
Miles away. Absolutely miles away.
I can't see it from here, so I don't know if it's... Maybe it's still there. That camera's going to be doing overtime this weekend, isn't it?
Sponsoring this bollard. You get loads of publicity if you had some logos on that, wouldn't you?
That's a great idea.
You might need a few spares, though.
They're all being very respectful now, aren't they?
Perfectly fine. Well, of course, they're all staying with the track limits,
because the camera's on. Yeah, well,
right the curves there, Calvo. That was a proper airborne moment, wasn't it, for Calvo? Yeah, Calvo's having a good season in GT World Challenge, isn't he? But the luck has just deserted him this year of that one win, of course, in the DTM. You know, really, he came into this wanting to win this championship. He's desperate. This is his boyhood dream, isn't it, to win the DTM? This is the championship he wants to win. He had such a good year last year, winning everything. Intercontinental, GT World Challenge, Bathurst, you name it, he won in his first season as a BMW driver. But as we often say, Brian, you can be the best driver in the world, best car in the world, best prep in the world, best pit stop crew in the world. You still need some luck. It's a really rubbish saying, but they say if it wasn't for bad luck, he had no luck at all. Well, he has had no luck at all this year. Hopefully he'll have some this weekend. But of course, the Nürburgring accident, and he was pretty knocked about after that crash involving Max Powell, and came back at Oschersleben. But I think I said to him, how are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm 100%. I'm back to full power now. But it's got to shake you. And the one thing he said, and he said it on his social media as well, when you have an accident like that, you're like, just reminds you, and it's a message to all of us really, embrace every day, live the moment, live in the moment, live life, and live the dream. That's what he's doing. He's back, and never give up. Don't take anything for granted.
No, absolutely. Take nothing for granted. Of course, the South African driver who now lives in Germany near Cologne, I think I'm right saying, and an honorary German now. I think he has German citizenship, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and,
speaks pretty fluent German as well. When you see him conversing with the fans, and you know, anytime I have a chat with him, he gets a queue of people. I can have a selfie, can I have an autograph? Just speaks great German to them, because he came here very young, didn't he? And with Abt, and living in Kempton, living with his brother Sheldon for a long time as well.
Well, his final trip into German citizenship will be the German Deutschland Tourenwagenmeisterschaften.
Yeah,
winning that there in the end.
Winning the DTM.
DTM.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And you know,
really.
when he missed that to Mirko Bortolini, it was such a good championship fight, that wasn't it? Those two. I mean, they kind of both deserved to win in a way. Somebody had to come out on top, somebody didn't, and he didn't really do anything wrong, did he? He can't really look back on his season and say, "Oh, we should have done that," and "I wish I'd done that." He drove a fantastic season. It just wasn't quite his year that year, and he acknowledged that. He said, "I'm proud of what I've done. It's disappointing. I'm gutted not to win it, but also I didn't leave anything out there." And you know, he was close. He was winning the championship, wasn't he, on the eve of the final race after that great victory, pretty emotional victory that he got on the Saturday at Hockenheim in 2024. But we missed him last year. It's great to have him back. and we'll see how he gets on. Equally, it's been good to see the rise of these young talents that have been coming through in the last year or two in the DTM, and that is absolutely one of them. Tom Callender, who is mentored by the great Bernd Schneider, who's just about the best mentor you could have in the world, I think, the 5-time champion. And Tom's starting to piece some consistency, some results together now in the top 5 in what is a hotbed of competition out there. But you don't win as a teenager the GT Masters Championship if you're not a talent, do you? He did that. He came into the DTM last year, picked up a top 5 finish in the final weekend at Hockenheim, which I guess was slightly overshadowed by everything else that went on at Hockenheim that weekend at the end of last season. And he's since improved upon that with a 4th place finish earlier this year.
Yeah, he was one of a trio of drivers. It was Tom Callender, Finn Wiebelhaus and Max Rice, who were in the ADAC team in the French Formula 4 series. And the ADAC who... when the Formula 4 Germany series stopped, they decided to sponsor drivers and put a German team into the French Formula 4 series. And the 3 of them were all together, and all 3 of them are coming through the ranks in GT racing. I think Max Rice in GT Masters at the moment, of course, Wiebelhaus and Callender here in the DTM. But really, really exciting to see, and caught me by surprise, actually, last week, the announcement of Formula 4 Germany returning. I cannot tell you how excited I am about that. It's about time we had a feeder series in single-seater racing, so it's going to be on the DTM platform as well. So when you come along to DTM events next year, you're going to see Formula 4 racing. And talking of next year, ...
We have a calendar.
Woohoo! And it's not a Tom Callender either. Thank you.
They should have got him to do it, shouldn't they? Yes. Tom Callender unveiling the calendar. Yeah, should have absolutely done that. Now I think this is the earliest I can remember next year's calendar being released. Actually, we normally have to wait until kind of September. Sometimes it's been October, and we've still got 3, including this one, 3 weekends to go. And in the build-up, it was announced we are going to start, as we did this year, at the Red Bull Ring. It's the same weekend, isn't it? The final weekend of April, 23rd, 24th and 25th of April.
Applause from here. Love it.
What a great place to open the championship. We're both, I think you might be able to tell, we're quite big fans of the Red Bull Ring. We absolutely love that place.
We mentioned that once.
Yeah, once or a million times. So we will start in Austria with the Red Bull Ring. We've got the same tracks on the calendar, but in quite a shuffled order compared to normal. So Oschersleben, which started the second half of the season this year, and it previously has been the season opener for the last few years. That's going to be round 2, 7th, 8th and 9th of May. Lausitzring, which has always been in May, is going to be in June, the 18th, 19th and 20th. That'll be our 3rd race weekend next year. And then the Norris Ring, 2nd, 3rd and 4th of July will end the first half of the season with the street race. Zandvoort is going to be in the summer holidays in August. So Brian's packed his beachwear already. 6th, 7th and 8th of August.
Got my Speedos in packed already. Nobody wants to see that.
I should clear the beach. And he's got his kite surf pack. He's going to be doing kite surfing displays.
Yeah, quite. I've been doing some backflips,
or maybe just have his armbands on.
Maybe drinking a pint on the beach, more like it. But yes.
So August, so obviously that's going to rain.
Yes.
20th, 21st and 22nd of August, Nürburgring. And then Sachsenring will be the penultimate round of the 2027 season, 24th to the 26th of September at Hockenheim. Same weekend, 8th, 9th and 10th of October next year. Check it out on the DTM.com website and all the DTM socials. Next year's calendar. So put the dates in the diary and make sure you come to several of those events next year. But I think we're both very happy, aren't we, that we're starting the Red Bull Rings. Yeah. Great place. We were worried about the weather because April can still be a bit volatile in that part. In the mountains, you can still get... In fact, when we drove to the track this year, still snow-capped mountains. But it was a beautiful weekend, sunshine-wise, wasn't it?
I mean, it's been hot pretty well every weekend we've had so far this year. But, we've been lulled into a false sense of security here. There was speculation, as there is most years, about a 9th event for the DTM. But I think Gottfried Grafter had said this, that we really need to focus on just making what we've got absolutely perfect, and with the number of spectators increasing weekend on weekend, I think the ADAC very wisely just wanted to make sure they've got a really, really strong foundation, which they certainly have, before trying to stretch too far too soon. So it's still 8 events at the moment, but who knows what the future will hold. But very exciting. And if we can keep away from the snow in April at the Red Bull Ring, it's a bit of a result. of course, Lausitzring, we did go there in June this year, which is the first time we've been there in June. And
beautiful as well, isn't it?
There's, I hear rumour that is to be have a fair bit of investment in infrastructure and getting the circuit up together. I mean, it has become a little bit bumpy and a little bit broken up over the years. So it's really nice that DECRA, who run that circuit, are going to invest in it. So that should raise the level of that a bit as well. So looking quite exciting for next year, I think.
Yeah, good. And it's, you know, it's a tough economic climate worldwide, isn't it? So it's the world isn't booming, and there's lots of things going on in the world that makes things tough, and getting the money to put all this together. And another round is more travel, is more expense for the teams, there's more sponsorship required, which is not the easiest thing to find at the moment. So yeah, it does a lot. We'd love to go racing every weekend with DTM, wouldn't we? But you have to be realistic about it, I think. And it's another strong calendar. Yeah, good that that's out early. We can all get ourselves penciled in for what we want to do next year, starting at the end of April. We've got the small matter of another 3 weekends of this season to get through first, though. Lucas, I was just thinking, watching while we were talking there, watching Luki go around, and the points popped up in the graphic in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. I wonder if this is now this run into the championship decider at Hockenheim, and it will be the decider because it's DTM. It's going to go down to the wire. I wonder if there's a different mindset for Luki, because the whole of last year he was either first or second in the championship. Last year he lost the championship lead on a Saturday night often, but then by the end of Sunday he was back up front, wasn't he? But this time he's chasing down a target. It's a very different setup. He's third. He needs to make points up. He's pushing a bit hard there, wasn't he? And almost lost the back end on that way out of turn 2 and into turn 3. But it's still a bit skittish out there. But yeah, he's got to, like Matteo Carol, he's got to start closing that points gap now.
I mean, it's his fellow Mercedes runner, Mauro Engel, who's kind of taken over that role. Having said that, with the disqualification of Mirko Bortolotti, Mauro Engel basically has a race win in hand. Thierry Vermeulen is the next one, and here's that wild moment from Lugi there, just a bit of drifting. I mean, what's not to love?
A bit of oversteer as he got it back onto the circuit.
It's fun, isn't he? Where was it? Oh yes, a race winning hand, that was it. So Mauro Engel, if things stand and the appeal isn't successful, then Mauro's in. I cannot actually remember the last time a driver had a race win in hand in terms of points. Going into certainly this late in the season. Mauro is going to be feeling, I should think, reasonably comfortable there, but awful lot of people champing at the bit behind him, including Lucas Auer. He must have a little sense of deja vu here, because as you say, last year was very much in the hunt, but kept getting it snatched away. But maybe with a target to chase, different mentality. Of course, Nicky Tim there, he's got something to say about all of this, and certainly Come To You are going to be throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at their championship challenge. They've already said they're going to give it the best, as Thomas Preining now goes quickest at 125.828. So Ricardo Feller, his teammate, the sister car, also going quick. Purple in sector 1, personal best in sector 2. So Ricardo Feller, is it going to be a Manti 1-2? I reckon it might be. Yes, Feller goes quickest at 125.766.
Fella's just gone from last on the timing screen to first. He was 21st before that. 25.766 puts him 62 thousandths quicker than his teammate Thomas Preining, who in turn is only 6 thousandths of a second quicker than Kelvin van der Linde. So 68 thousandths between the top three. Couple of tenths back, quarter of a second back is Wittmann in fourth, who's gone into the pits now. Finn Wiebelhaus is on a personal best lap. Harris found in the middle of the sector. Haven't they on the way out of the final corner, trying to find his way to the finish line is Wiebelhaus through all the dust, and that's a good lap for Finn. He goes 6th quickest. So the 20-year-old, he's not a teenager anymore. It's the first time we've been able to talk about him not being a teenager. He's 20 now. But Preining, look, the absolute best first sector time. Auer was half a second down. Preining with second sector, attacking the curbs, almost taking the bollard out as well, just because of the rub bar. Is he going to go and finish the lap? Is he going to go to the pit lane? He does stay out, so this could be it. Makes his way through the final turn, accelerating. Finish. Preining now dashes for the 5.17, quarter of a second up on anybody.
I was about to say that the entire field was covered by 1.096. Make that 1.296 as a result of that lap from Thomas Preining. It's still very close, but until that lap, it was just over a second covering the whole field. Now it's 1.2, just about 1.3. But yes, the two Porsches suddenly in the closing stages. Bastian Buster, right, as well. He's in 11th. He is just under 8/10 off the pace from Thomas Preining as well. But yeah, that's a bit of a turn up in the closing stages as Finn Wiebelhaus drifting through the air in the Mustang.
Maro Engel, championship leader, is in the pits. He's 14th. Nicky Tim, second in the championship, is going well. 5th place in this session. Finn Wiebelhaus might be about to get a bit higher than 6th. He goes through. He stays 6th, but it's another good lap, that. 1:26.066 seconds as the checkered flag now comes out at the end of free practice 2. So, yeah, Wiebelhaus and Miney looking good today. Miney was fastest for a while, wasn't he? He ended up 9th, but they've been in the top 10 on both occasions here at the Nürburgring, in free practice 1 and free practice 2, but they've got this drive-through penalty looming over them on Saturday. For them, it's all about Sunday and what they can do there without this penalty. But Ford's great nick at the moment. They really have stepped up. It's been fantastic from HRT, the way they've improved that car over, what, an 18-month period. Big step up with the upgrades to the car, the Evo package. Top job by them, but it's going to be a tough Saturday, no doubt about it. Wiebelhaus pushing on, still on track, will be the last one, I think, to take the checkered flag. Mapelli, what's he going to do on this lap? No personal best. 8th overall. It's not bad, though, is it?
Monstering it. Did you see the shots there coming over the chicane and into the final corner? I could say, I think he was pushing, but I didn't think there was much life left.
But it's been positive. Team.
So Engelhardt is finding his feet nice and quickly in that car.
Yeah, he's sort of found his feet, settled in free practice 1, definitely pushing harder in free practice 2. And that is free practice complete. They've learned all they can learn, go through the data. They will be going back on the track shortly, though, because we've got the track safari, so they'll be going out with passengers in a bus, and it might give them a little bit more data. It's still going to be a useful session for them, I think. But Preining and Feller make it a man-tight 1-2, 1:25.517 for the 2023 champion. Quarter of a second up on his teammate Ricardo Feller. Kelvin van der Linde and Marco Wittmann then make it a BMW 3-4. And then we have the Come2You Racing Aston Martin and Nicky Tim in 5th. In the Ford Mustang, Finn Wiebelhaus for HRT in 6th. Bender, better session, that, wasn't it? A bit of head scratching. They couldn't first session. That's better. 12th in that session, and his teammate Thierry Vermeulen back in 20th place and a little bit off the pace there. So again, there'll be lots of poring over data. It's going to be an early, not as early as normal, but an earlier start for them tomorrow with qualifying getting underway local time at 9:55, and we'll be on air at 9:50 with all the build up to that. But a strong start to the weekend, no doubt about it, for Thomas Preining. Quickest in the quickest of the 2 sessions for another of the drivers that is trying to catch up the front runners in this championship. It's been a really, really hot day, but an enjoyable one here at the Nürburgring. We've got round 11 of the championship coming up tomorrow. We've got qualifying before that to set the grid, and no doubt about it, we're going to have some great racing here in, and it all to do again on Sunday, and this weekend, which will really have a massive effect on the championship table. So Thomas Preining, Ricardo Feller, the top 2 in that session, and we've qualified session to look forward to. What, 6 minutes or 7 minutes of the session to go? They'll all go out and all go for pole position. So I hope you've enjoyed our coverage of this session. We've got super slow-mos of our top 3 in that session, and a good day for Kelvin van der Linde as well in the top 6 in free practice 1. The South African makes it into the top 3 with his teammate just behind in free practice 2. Ricardo Feller, his first season driving Porsches in the DTM, a factory driver, getting used to life, but really enjoying being with the top-rated team Manthey and getting ever closer to his teammate Thomas Preining. So South African 3rd, a Swiss driver 2nd, an Austrian driver in a German team fastest at the end of the first day of action here at the Nürburgring. On first gear, about 70 kilometers an hour, proper hairpin, inverse camber, let it run out, and then a double left coming up through turn 2, 115 kilometers an hour, second gear, up to 170 before you go into the next turn. Through there in second gear at about 75 kilometers an hour. Through the right then at turn 4, winding things up, 125 kilometers an hour, and to the back straight. They'll touch 200 kilometers an hour here before going back down the gears into the hairpin through the Goodyear turn. Second gear, 80 kilometers an hour. Out of there is where sector 1 ends, through the left at 130 at turn 8 at 230 kilometres an hour, more or less. Hold on to your hats through there, climb up the hill, and then stand on the brakes at the end of sector 2. Second gear, 85 kilometres an hour. Ride the curves, avoid the bollards if you can. Make your way out of that chicane and into the final turn at turn 11. And that was the lap that put Thomas Preining fastest in free practice 2. Hope you enjoyed our coverage and you'll join us again tomorrow morning for qualifying. From me, Chris Hartley, and from Brian Oliver, it's goodbye from Nürburgring on Friday. See you tomorrow.